In the next few minutes, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know to get started building automation. So automating things between different tools, automating tools themselves, all without programming. It's going to be super simple. Really quick, this is part 5 of my How to Build Stuff with No Code series. The past few videos were on websites and how to build apps. Automations, for those of you who don't know, is basically like when tool does A, second tool does B. So let's say I have a Google Sheet set up, right? Every time a new row is added to my Google Sheet, I want it to automatically input a series of things in that row and then fill it out for me, for instance, based on data from my CRM. Something like that, right? And that can be super duper powerful because if there are really annoying, repetitive, tedious tasks that you have to do for work, for your business, for whatever, you can automate those theoretically. So if there's just moving one little bit of data from one piece to another piece, right? Or from one cell to another cell, or automating the flow of like publishing something to your website to make it easier because you have to go through all these really annoying manual steps and you can totally automate that. That's what automation kind of comes in to do. It's really, really good at making repetitive, tedious tasks go away so they happen automatically and you don't have to touch anything. The two tools that I'm going to recommend, that I'm generally going to recommend Zapier.com. I am sponsored by Zapier. This video is not sponsored by Zapier. They pay me for a lot of videos. You might see me post a lot of them. I work with them closely. I really like them. I was really happy that they reached out because I already used Zapier in the past, and I will genuinely recommend it right now because I use it for my own personal business, not just because they sponsor me. I was using them before that. They're just a great tool. Then the second one, which does not sponsor me, but I will still recommend anyway because they have been useful for some other stuff, is Make.com. They're also really, really powerful. I've found that the learning curve on Make is a little bit harder. Like I don't use Make most of the time because it's just less easy to use. But in some circumstances, there's stuff that I can't automate in the right way or can't automate at all with Zapier. And in that case, I will try Make because it's also really, really powerful and it does kind of the same stuff. This is Zapier. This is how Zapier works. First of all, they have this really, really cool thing. So you can just type in what you want to happen and it'll automatically, intelligently build you a zap or an automation. But I'm just going to click Create Zap and I'm going to show you the basics of how it works. Let's say, here's the trigger. Let's say every time something happens in my Gmail, every time I get, let's say, a new email. Every time I get a new email, I want it to start my automation. Then I click on the next step, action. Let's say I want it to add let's just say have it send me a text. So we'll do SMS by Zapier. So every time I get a new email in Gmail, it's going to do SMS by Zapier, and that means it's going to send an SMS. And then I go through and I can set up an account. I can go and I can choose a from number. I can choose the message and I can send it to whoever I want. For my new email, I've already connected it to my Gmail account. The trigger is going to be for a specific inbox or a specific category, whatever. But I can, on the right here, whenever you click into a specific element, a specific component of your automation, you can set up how it actually functions here on the right. And then when you're done, you just click the little on switch in the top right. It gives you a little error notification until you set everything up. But you just click on in the top right and you test it beforehand and you do all that stuff kind of in this editor. And then you're done. Once you click on, it just starts running the automation. So every time you get a new email, all of the other stuff will happen. It doesn't have to be 1 and then 2. You can have 1 trigger and then 10,000 different automation actions, right? So you can set up different actions, you can set up different trees and pathways. So if the email that came in has this kind of attachment, if the email that came in has this kind of header, you can set up all sorts of conditionals to set up like a tree of automations based on one thing happening and one thing started it. Super, super powerful. You can do the same thing with Make. Let me show you how that works. Here's what it looks like inside of Make. I'm just going to click Create a New Scenario up here in the top right. And then you click here, and then you pick a tool, kind of like you saw in Zapier. So in this case, let's say, Airtable was a good one. Let's say Airtable. When there is a new record in Airtable, we want to add another module. And that new module is going to be something else. So I'm going to scroll down until I see something that I recognize. Let's just use, barcodes. I like barcodes. I think this is actually inside of Make itself. So every time a new Airtable thing happens, whenever it's watching the records, whenever there's a new record, Airtable's like a database. It's like a Google Sheets kind of database. It's going to generate a barcode, and then you can have it add another module, and you can go back here and you can have it, you can set up a filter or add a router. Wait, hold on. Add a router, so you can have it do multiple different things, and this is kind of nice. I really like the interface here. The interface here is really fun and bubbly and like nice and satisfying to use, but it is a little bit more complex, and you have to like kind of scroll through. It's just, I don't know why. For my personal preference, I've just used Make a little bit less. I've found it a little bit more difficult to use in setting up the actual elements. Whereas with Zapier, like you saw over here, you're just kind of choosing from a little form system. I've found that easier personally. But if you're looking to get into automations, I would recommend you check out both, genuinely. Like, they are both super, super powerful tools. They both do a whole bunch of different things. Sometimes Make will have tools that are automatable that Zapier doesn't have, and Zapier will sometimes have tools that Make doesn't have. But both of them are really, really powerful. I would check them both out. And both of those tools, both Make and Zapier, have pretty dang generous free plans. So if you're just trying to experiment with something or you just have a small little thing you need to automate, chances are you can get it done on the free plan of either of those tools. So I would check both out. They work on integrations. So if the only way you're able to automate something with one of those tools is if they already have a connection, an integration to whatever tool you want to automate. So go and check both tools to see if they have whatever you want to automate. So let's say you want to automate your specific CRM, like HubSpot or whatever. If you want to automate HubSpot, I'm pretty sure both of them have connections to HubSpot because HubSpot is really big. But I would check both of them, see which one has the right connections, see which one has the right integrations to the right tools, and then just start setting up scenarios, start setting up zaps, start futzing, and you'll get pretty far. I know people that do this like as a job, like their whole thing is being an automation consultant. These are crazy, crazy powerful tools. The stuff you can do with them is amazing. It requires no programming, and there's not much of a learning curve. So this is probably the most powerful thing I'm going to teach you, just in general, for your life, for business, for consulting, for whatever the heck. This is probably the most powerful thing. I use it all the time for a lot of my projects. It's huge. And if you have any questions, I'm pretty good at both Make and Zapier, so I should be able to answer any of them down in the comments. So just leave a comment. I'll answer the question. Unless this video gets like 350 comments, I should be able to answer every single one. So looking forward to your questions. I'll see you in the next video. I'm not sure what we're doing next, but it's going to be valuable.